Welcome. LG fridges. Oh, don't we wish they were as efficient as they are stunning. For those of you that don't know, LG fridges use a linear compressor and have quite a significant problem with compressor failure rate. So here we are, replacing yet another compressor. We start by hooking up our gauges to the sealed system and monitoring the readings to confirm that the compressor has actually failed. And then we will be removing all freon into a recovery tank. Now while I do that, here's a bit of information on linear compressors. LG's linear compressors require a slightly different approach than you would have for a standard compressor when troubleshooting. First, you need to know if the system is single coil or dual evaporator coil. Dual evaporator coils will have a three-way valve. A three-way valve diverts the freon flow between the fridge section and the freezer section. Depending on which compartment requires to be cooled is how the three-way valve will respond. So once you've established your system type, if it's a single coil system, pressure reading should be between 0 to 10 psi on the low side when the fridge is in its cooling cycle. Dual coil system readings should be between 5 to 15 psi on the low side. However, this is dependent on the compressor hertz. If the compressor is 53 Hz or 60 Hz, this information will apply. If the compressor is 56.5 Hz, then this information will be inaccurate, as I have seen this type of a compressor be as high as 25 psi while running at its optimum. A compressor that has failed will have high readings of 25 to 50 psi on the low side and low readings of 50 to 100 psi on the high side. Once all the freon is removed and the compressor is ready to be pulled out, then it's time to do some flame work. Now that the compressor is out, we will be purging the system with dry nitrogen. However, to effectively do this, you need this Robin Air Process Tube Adapter Kit or something along those lines, as this kit does have all the sizes necessary to effectively perform this step. Now, we don't get any paid promotion for recommending this product. The only reason I do recommend is because it actually does work very, very well. This fridge we're working on is not a dual coil system. However, this information I'm about to go over is very important as it pertains to dual coil systems, especially LG brands. Before purging the system, be sure the three-way valve is in the home position by pressing test button found on the control board and confirming the display reads 88 on freezer and refrigerator side. If that's too much, you can also unplug the fridge, plug it back in, and then disconnect again between 6 to 12 seconds. Either one of these steps will ensure the three-way valve is in home position. Attaching one adapter to the condenser line at the compressor, you will then allow nitrogen to flow through the condenser and the condenser loop, also known as the Yoder loop, and out to where it connects to the filter dryer. Assuming filter dryer is removed by the time you get to this step, you will then attach one adapter to the three-way valve inlet allowing nitrogen flow through the refrigerator and the freezer capillary lines and into their evaporators. Check valve positioned after the freezer evaporator is a one-way check valve, thus allowing nitrogen to pass through it in the stated order only. Refrigerator compartment does not contain a check valve. After the evaporators, nitrogen will empty out at the compressor return line. If the capillary tube has buildup, cut it off. You want the capillary tube to be clean to avoid possible restrictions. I use a dedicated pair of wire strippers to perform this task. However, other methods include using a file to notch the cap tube and break it off, or purchasing capillary line cutter tool. Well, since I'm frugal, wire strippers will have to do. Once the cut has been made, verify that the tube has not collapsed in the process of cutting it. While purging system with dry nitrogen, I came across this puncture hole in the condenser line. This could be a potential problem when brazing the lines back in place, so we'll just cut it off to avoid unnecessary headaches. A little side note here, metal is hard to braze to copper. I used white brazing flux for a long time until a friend of mine recommended I try flux coated brazing rods. They are pricey, but they're most definitely worth it. After all the brazing is complete, I will pressurize the system with around 75 to 100 psi of nitrogen and apply Big Blue Leak Detector on my welds to confirm I have no leaks. Always follow these steps when pulling vacuum. Turn on vacuum pump first, then open high side gauge second, and finally open low side. Single coil system pull vacuum for about 10 minutes. Dual coil system pull vacuum for about 15 minutes. Position the compressor windings connector on the new compressor at a 45-degree angle. This system requires a 5-ounce charge of R134A, so as always, weigh your charge in. And as a reminder, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to update the software with the jig. For those of you who made it this far and found this video useful or helpful in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel.